You are listening to a story on Sirio Stories, where your IQ is always respected. Enjoy the story. The sponsored college student my mother brought home has been reborn. She was as haughty as a princess. I can stay at your house, but you must keep your distance from your son. Don't flirt, don't get too close, and absolutely do not fall for me. The moment she said that, I understood. Ava had truly been reborn. In the previous life, I loved her so much that I was willing to lavish money and pour resources into making her an A-list Hollywood star. But after becoming famous, the first thing she did was hold her lover's hand and announce their wedding date. Then, when the paparazzi exposed our relationship, fearing her reputation would be damaged, she ruthlessly harmed me, leaving me to burn to death in the flames. When I woke up again, I wanted her to see for herself how her life would be ruined. Son, let me introduce you. This student's name is Ava. Starting today, she will be staying at our house. My mother's gentle voice rang out. In the living room, a girl dressed simply, with a slender figure, stood looking at me without any emotion. It was clearly her first time at our house, but her demeanor was very natural, neither confused nor worried. Ava spoke coldly and arrogantly. I can stay at your house, but your son must keep his distance from me. Don't flirt, don't get too close, and absolutely do not fall for me. My mother must have been stunned by her words. It took a while for her to react. Ava, do you have some issue with our home? No, I am just clarifying my position. I hope you can understand. She glanced at me and continued speaking coldly. At this moment, I realized Ava had also been reborn. Because in the previous life, on the day she came to my house, she didn't have this princess-like haughty attitude. At that time, Ava was cautious and polite, although it later proved that was only a pretense. But at least, when the former me was still at home, she seemed like a pitiful white rabbit. And I was utterly subdued by that gentle, innocent facade, resulting in my downfall and the shattering of my family. Thinking of how she had deceived me in the previous life, and then threw me into the fire. That burning, suffocating sensation seemed to fill my body once again. I walked to the sofa, sat down, and spoke coldly. Mom, it seems she is not satisfied with our sponsorship. Maybe we should switch to someone else, so she doesn't take up space. In the previous life, our Herta group sponsored 10 students from the mountains, and Ava was one of them. Because her mother passed away early, and her father was a gambling addict, who was chased by debt collectors and fled. My mother saw that her home was empty and pathetic, so she asked if she wanted to transfer to a school in the city. Ava came to live at my house afterward. Reality proves kindness is not always reciprocated. Some people are born ungrateful. Even if you give them your whole heart, it's useless. I never said that, don't misunderstand my meaning. Hearing my suggestion to switch people, Ava seemed a bit anxious. She wasn't stupid. In the previous life, I loved her like my own life. Lavished money and resources, allowing her to enter Hollywood in 3 years, and become an A-list star. Winning the Excellent Artist Award, the Young Actor Award, representing luxury brands, with endorsement fees reaching tens of millions of dollars. At that time, she was incredibly radiant. But what about now? Because she had been reborn, she was now just a poor high school student, without enough money for food, education, or tuition. If she lost the scholarship, she would have to drop out and work in the South. Even with a little talent for singing, dancing, and acting, with just a high school diploma and no connections, wanting to continue the glory of the previous life was just a pipe dream. Ava wasn't stupid. She knew where to state her position and where to restrain herself. But she was overthinking. In the previous life, I was harmed so miserably by her. If I still had any interest in her in this life, I would definitely find a way to take revenge, to crush her to the ground, and return her to the miserable, pathetic life she once had. Ava was fully prepared to encounter a person who was completely opposite to her in the previous life. Today was the first day of school. After breakfast, Uncle Messie's car was already parked outside. Just as I got into the car, Uncle Messie, wait for me. Behind me, a person carrying a backpack ran up, panting. She naturally opened the back door, saw me, her expression surprised for a second, then slammed the door shut, opened the front passenger door, and sat down flatly. Uncle Messi was confused for a moment, glanced at me, and said nothing. Even though she was reborn, Ava was no smarter than in the previous life. She had only said 2 words, and her cold, aloof gaze swept over me. Thanos, I clearly stated my position yesterday. Don't flirt, don't get too close. I laughed out of anger. This is my car, I don't like sharing a ride with others. Get out immediately. Ava was also stunned, not expecting me to answer like that. In the previous life, from the day she came to my house, I was always kind and friendly to her. Then I liked her, and spoiled her infinitely. Clothes and handbags were given immediately upon request. On Ava's 18th birthday, I even used my private money to buy her a Porsche. My parents were startled, not understanding what was happening, because she had never been abroad. Afterward, every winter and summer vacation, I was not in the country, spending the entire time abroad. It was either taking Ava skiing in Norway, or chasing the northern lights in Finland. My parents called me blindly devoted, while my friends were more blunt. They called me Ava's loyal simp. Looking back now, I really was a genuine simp. I simped for Ava for a full 10 years, only to end up losing my fortune, and my body reduced to ashes. Thanos, I'm just borrowing a ride. Why do you have to be so petty? Ava's face darkened, looking extremely annoyed. Whenever her interests were touched, she would stretch her principles and use double standards. I coldly countered. Are you very close with my dad, that you demand a ride in the car? Ava got out of the car, sullenly slamming the door shut. I didn't bother to glance at her, just told Uncle Messi to drive off. I am currently attending a private high school. When I transferred schools, to prevent Ava from overthinking things, my mother even transferred her to the same school. We are the same age. She is in class 3. I am in class 5. On the first day of school, rumors about school overlord Thiago and the transfer student were spreading everywhere. It was said that Ava actively confessed her feelings. Thiago, I like you. Can I be your girlfriend? The public, brazen confession was like a bomb explosion, shaking the entire school. Students discussed it non-stop. After being reborn, the first thing she did was look for her lover from the previous life. It seems Ava truly loved Thiago. In the previous life, the person she liked was clearly him. But unfortunately, his family was too poor, and she couldn't have both love and career. So she chose career, and used me as a stepping stone. And I naively thought it was because she was moved by my simping. Thought that sincerity moves even metal and stone, had finally opened her heart. Every time I spent money and effort paving the way for her, Ava would say, wait until I win the Best Actress award. I will make our relationship public. But in the end, she did go public. Only it wasn't with me, but with the boy from high school, who used to hold her hand and run in the streets, who used to cook her a bowl of white rice porridge, who was the school overlord, who took her first time. After the announcement, Ava cried in front of me, saying she had only ever seen me as a friend for all those years. Had tried to persuade herself to love me, but truly couldn't do it. She thanked me for everything I had done, said she would repay me, but would absolutely not marry me. We had been together for 10 years, and I poured almost everything into her entertainment career. From a young master living a comfortable life, I had to beg everywhere, buy scripts, find directors for her, and clean up all the under-the-table rules. I drank alcohol until I had stomach bleeding to pave the way for her. Finally, she achieved resounding success, and then shamelessly said she only saw me as a friend. It truly overturned all my perceptions, even though 10 years of my effort and affection were erased by her. I still gritted my teeth and wished her and that guy well. After returning home, the years spent neglecting the family business while following her had caused my family's fortunes to decline. Seeing my parents age day by day, I felt immense guilt. Just as I was about to rally and start over, I received a call from Ava. It turned out a reporter had taken photos of her entering and exiting my house, and sold all the photos to her rivals. For an actress who had just announced her wedding date, this was an extremely dangerous situation. Ava called to discuss how to resolve it. She arranged to meet me at a small house in the mountains. I refused, but she pleaded, swearing this was the last time. That if I just helped her this once, she wouldn't bother me again. After a long deliberation, I agreed to go. When I arrived, she talked a lot. And immediately after I drank the cup of tea she offered, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was tied tightly to a pillar by her and Thiago, surrounded by gasoline, to prevent her career from being affected. She wanted to kill me to silence me, in the most cruel way possible. Before lighting the fire, she even pretended to shed a few crocodile tears. Thanos, I'm sorry, I have no other way. You know too much. If you tell the reporters about us, my life is over. I struggled frantically, but it was useless. I could only glare at her. Ava, are you even human? Have you forgotten who brought you to where you are today? Thiago coldly interrupted. What the hell are you? Without you, my Ava would still be famous. Sweetheart, don't waste words on him anymore. Light the fire and let's go. Finally, I was burned alive by those two scum. Ava used a burner phone to contact me. She had planned to kill me before she even called. After I died, my soul floated and watched my parents report the crime. But it was all futile. No clues, no evidence. The case was like searching for a needle in a haystack. In the second year after my death, my mother became depressed and committed suicide. 3 months later, my father followed her. Because of Ava, I lost my entire life and my entire family. Perhaps God saw how miserable I was and gave me another chance. They say, every wrong has its root, every debt has its owner. Retribution is not absent, it is merely delayed. This time, it's my turn to settle the score with that wretched couple. That evening, I had just finished showering upstairs, when I suddenly heard a rumble outside the fence. Looking out the window, a group of young people on blinking light motorcycles were standing outside the gate. On the road, a girl in a blue uniform stepped off the backseat, stretched and tossed her hair. It was Ava. She reluctantly said goodbye to Thiago, only took a few steps before rushing back, and kissed him on the cheek. The others whistled in turn. Thiago smiled faintly, looking very smug. No way, right? Ava, do you really live here? One of the group members marveled. I heard the houses here cost $20 per square meter. What does your aunt do to be so rich? When you're free later, invite me in to visit. I just want to see what $1 million house looks like. Me too, another one shouted. Ava paused slightly, her voice gently replied. Just say it. My parents don't really like strangers coming into the house. What kind of reason is that? Why would we be strangers? One person interjected. Our Thiago can't be a stranger. He's practically your future son-in-law. The day after tomorrow is Thiago's birthday. Why don't you have the party right at your house, so we can see your villa with our own eyes? This suggestion was immediately welcomed. Great idea, why miss out? Think about it, beautiful. Everyone eagerly awaited Ava's answer. She was silent for a moment before saying, let me ask my parents first. See what they say. A cheer immediately erupted. Oh yeah, the goddess is really game. I couldn't help but laugh scornfully inside. Thinking back, I realized how wasted my previous life was. I had never been vigilant that Ava could be so manipulative. It could also be that her acting was too good in the previous life. I was curious what would happen if I ran down and exposed her right then. But unfortunately, Ava entered the yard and the group quickly pulled away. From then on, Ava came home very late. Even the housekeeper in our house knew. She's in love these days. The news at school was even noisier. She and Thiago were so openly in love, seen holding hands and showing off their affection both inside and outside the school. At the same time, rumors that Ava was a rich family's young lady grew increasingly intense. Someone posted photos of her entering and exiting a luxury residential area. Someone saw her stepping out of a cullinan at the school gate. The story of the rich young lady in love with the school overlord suddenly became a myth. On Saturday morning, my mother and I were having breakfast in the dining room when Ava walked down from the second floor. Her steps cheerful. My mother greeted her, Ava, good morning. After the greeting, Ava looked at my mother, as if she wanted to say something, then struggled to speak. Luffy, it's my friend's birthday this weekend. Could I borrow your house to throw a party? My mother was both surprised and slightly awkward. Throw a party here? Dear, Your Uncle Beckham here doesn't like having too many people in the house. So it might not be convenient. Ava was visibly disappointed but wouldn't give up. Not even for just half the night? Luffy, I've already promised. I smirked inwardly. I truly felt like this was a first. She's already promised. What basis did she have to promise? This wasn't her house. My mother didn't concede because my father genuinely disliked a crowded house. I'm sorry, dear. But it's still early. You can talk to your friend beforehand. This place really isn't suitable. Ava didn't say more, quickly drank a glass of milk, and walked toward the door. My mother asked in surprise. Aren't you having breakfast? No time, Luffy, I have an appointment, she replied hastily. My mother opened her mouth and then seriously reminded her. Ava, you are in your final year of school. You must focus on your studies first. Don't let romantic feelings distract you. Ava stopped, turned around and looked at us with a serious expression. Is there something you want to say, Luffy? My mother hesitated slightly, then sincerely advised her as an adult. I heard you are dating. I just want to remind you that at this stage, you must focus on studying. Trying your best to get into college is what matters most. Ava coldly replied. You are free to express your opinion. Even if you sponsor me. You don't have the right to interfere with my love life. I secretly agreed with that statement, then gently advised my mother. Mom, you should respect other people's choices. Don't turn helping people into an underlying motive. Ava's gaze immediately swept toward me, her eyes firm. Thanos, don't talk in riddles like that. What's so great about having money? I've already lived that kind of life. This time, I won't let go. Don't dream about breaking us up. I almost laughed out of anger. If that's the case, then you should move out. We can send you money for rent. No problem at all, I said. Ava suddenly fell silent, pursing her lips, and said nothing more. Stifling her throat, she continued. You have no right to tell me where to go. It was Luffy who invited me here. Indeed, she was quite brazen, but it made sense. Why would she be willing to leave? On one side was a villa with a garden worth over tens of thousands of dollars per square meter, fully equipped with amenities. On the other side was a regular rented room outside. Everyone knows what to choose. Moreover, at school right now, everyone regarded her as a rich family's young lady. If she moved out, how could she maintain her prestige and status? Perhaps because the atmosphere between us was too tense. My mother couldn't help but intervene. All right, everyone say less. Ava silently glared at me, then turned and walked away. My mother looked at her retreating figure and sighed. I didn't expect this girl to have such a personality. Let her move out. We just need to subsidize a part of her living expenses. That's enough. My mother thought for a while. She would find time to talk to her when she was free. Ava planned to make a big deal out of it, and I decided to let her go. As I knew, in the previous life, she and Chiago got intimate on his birthday. In a shabby tent. They hadn't known each other for long. I knew clearly. Because Ava herself dragged Chiago to tell me after announcing their wedding date. To mock me. You lose. A woman can't let go of the first man in her life. I still clearly remember what my 18th birthday gift was. It was Ava's virginity. She gave everything to me without holding back in that tent on the rooftop, saying she would never forget that day for the rest of her life. Never forget the feeling I gave her. What are you comparing with me? I clearly heard what Ava said then. You are just her dog. If you didn't have any value left, she would have broken up with you 800 years ago. Those words were like a knife cutting into my heart. I clenched my fists. Never forget that day for a lifetime. Yes. I will make this lifetime unforgettable for those two as well. I went online and found a highly rated resort. Then suggested our whole family go for a 2-day trip. My mother wondered. Why the sudden urge to go on a trip? Nothing. Dad has been so busy lately. He's finally free for a bit. I want everyone to relax. It's not a long drive. Just an hour or two. I pretended to be disappointed. My first suggestion was already rejected by my mother. Truly, heartbreaking. My mother hesitated. Should I ask Dad if he has time? Under my mother's clever persuasion, my father finally agreed to take the whole family away for 2 days. In the evening, Ava arrived. I deliberately mentioned to the housekeeper Ariana. On Saturday and Sunday, our family will be at the Cruz family resort. Yes, Young master. If anyone wants to go out to play, please let me know in advance so I can arrange rooms. I noticed a flicker of thought on Ava's face. Based on my understanding, she would definitely be excited. On Saturday, I made an excuse to my mother that I had business and couldn't go to the resort, then invited a group of friends to eat out. Why eat out? An old friend wondered. Your house cooks much better Cantonese food. We can also go to my place to watch movies or play games. My parents are not home for 2 days, it's a bit lonely by myself. I opened my phone. Through video, I saw Ava, Thiago, and the blinking light youths had arrived at the house. Playing merrily in the living room, shouting loudly. A moment later, they brought out fine wine from my father's cellar, shouting, "Hey guys, look what I found." A crowd cheered. We won't go home until we're drunk. My phone rang. It was the housekeeper from the city calling. Young master, Ava's friends are too loud. And they took the master's fine wine. Shouldn't I ask them to leave? It's okay, let them drink. Just don't let them damage anything. Drinking wine is more fun. Ava, don't disappoint me. It got dark. After eating, I hailed a few cars and led a large group of friends back home. On the stairs, Ava and Thiago were kissing passionately, full of intimacy. My friends returned home. Opening the camera, they saw the couple had gone up to room 3 on the 3rd floor. Preparing for the main event, I quickly called the housekeeper Ariana to lead the young men to the backyard. To avoid exposing the information, I went up to the 3rd floor, pretending to ask, "Weren't we going to play games? Why did you bring us up here?" Well, someone stammered awkwardly. I opened the door, and a crowd rushed in, only to see the 2 people on the bed, engrossed in each other. Their groans provocative, like a scene from an adult film. "What is this?" a friend blurted out in shock. Ava and Thiago jumped, turning their heads in panic, looking for clothes. I slowly said, "Ava, what are you doing?" Others immediately recognized her. And Thiago. What were those 2 doing at my house? It truly was a scene both comical and unbelievable. Well, can I record a video? One of my friends, with a slightly eccentric thought, curiously asked. Thiago finally realized what was happening. Flaring up into a rage and yelling at everyone. "Are you guys crazy? Don't you see there are people in the room? Get out immediately." Everyone looked at him, then looked at me. One friend couldn't help but respond. "Are you nuts? Who told you to get out? What are these idiots doing? Trespassing, understand?" I coldly looked at the foolish couple. "So you also know that trespassing is wrong, do you?" Ava really was skilled. Bringing a guy to my house to mess around. Couldn't she afford to rent a room outside? From today on, I would seriously consider whether to continue my family's sponsorship for her. And getting her stingy boyfriend out of my house was also necessary. Thiago was stunned for a moment, turned around, and asked his half-naked girlfriend in a deep voice, "What is going on? This isn't your house." Ava gritted her teeth, her eyes bloodshot, looking at me as if I were her father's killer. "I am disgusted by you, daring to use this method to force me to be with you." Dream on. Everyone looked at me with astonishment. I only smiled faintly. "If your brain isn't working, go see a doctor. Don't cause trouble here, or I'll sue you for defamation." Thiago let out a sound, then quickly picked up the clothes on the floor and put them on. Turning to leave, Ava quickly pulled him back, explaining hurriedly, "Listen to me, Thanos wants to break us up. It's a trap he set." "Ava, I don't care about you and other men." "No, Thiago, you can't go." She still wanted to say something, but he pushed her away, making her fall onto the floor. Ava cried out in distress. After watching this dramatic scene, everyone was stunned. Ava wrapped herself in the blanket and ran to me, looking at me with disdain. "Thanos, do you still think, being so childish, you can break up me and Thiago? I'm telling you honestly, I will never be with you in this lifetime. Stop having pipe dreams." My good friend, Yamal, couldn't stand it. "Are you okay? Who would like a crazy girl who causes trouble in other people's homes like this? What did that guy Thiago just say?" Someone wondered. "Did she imply that this house belongs to her? Isn't she a sponsored student of your family?" A few people looked confused. What, Ava is a student sponsored by Thanos' family? Why did the whole school spread rumors that she's from a rich family? Someone saw her get out of a Cullinan last time. Yamal calmly explained. Thanos' mother's car, Luffy Hurta's, is indeed a Cullinan. Everyone was startled, understanding the situation. But why would a sponsored student live at Thanos' house? I looked at Ava. The person I was passionately in love with for a lifetime, knowing her background well. Her mother passed away early. Her father was a debt-ridden gambler who had fled. Because she had no money for school and nowhere to live. My mother decided to sponsor her and let her stay at our house. But Ava seemed to misunderstand me, continuously speaking nonsense that greatly annoyed me. She blushed, trembling in the blanket. Thanos is talking rubbish. You're the one who's clingy, causing endless trouble with me. I smiled faintly without saying anything, seeing her as someone who was being tricked by her own silly game. In this life, I haven't even talked much to her. Why is she still so clingy? The other friends shook their heads, thinking to themselves. So confident, why does she think Thanos would even notice her? She must have watched too many 180-minute dramas. Ava finally couldn't bear it, yelling. Get out, all of you. Everyone fell silent, thinking. This isn't her house, yet she dares to tell the owner to get out? This behavior of bringing a man to someone else's house and discussing sex completely enraged my mother. After returning from the resort, my mother told the housekeeper Ariana to have Ava pack her belongings and move immediately to the dormitory. Her tuition and living expenses would be transferred directly to her personal account by my mother. She would no longer be associated with my family. On the day she moved out, Ava walked past me, an arrogant look on her face. You are the ones who wanted me to move out. 2 months from now, even if your whole family begs, I won't come back. I understood her implication. At this time, news was circulating about the famous director Enrique, preparing to shoot a long web drama. The drama tells the fantastical love story between a young dragon boy and a human girl, consisting of 4 parts, and became an instant hit upon airing. In the previous life, Ava stood out thanks to the second female lead role in this drama, winning the Excellent Young Actress Award the following year. She thought she was born to be a star, not knowing that the original author of the novel, Maria Garcia, was a close friend of my mother. In the previous life, to help Ava get the role, my mother agreed to ask Aunt Maria for help. When Ava received the call from the film crew, she jumped up happily, thinking she was chosen due to her outstanding performance at the casting. But in reality, it was thanks to my family's assistance. Afterward, thanks to my continued pouring money and creating opportunities, Ava's career progressed non-stop, soaring like a kite in the wind. Recalling this time, I had registered a studio under my mother's name. It took considerable effort, but I finally found a girl named Natasha in a remote town and brought her back to the studio. In the previous life, Natasha was Ava's rival. She debuted quite late, only entering the profession at 25. But thanks to a 10-minute soul-stirring performance, she defeated Ava, winning both the Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress awards. She was a born talent, with an innate sense for the camera. A sharp, recognizable face, hard to forget after one look. As usual, I asked my mother to invite Aunt Maria out for dinner. But unlike last time, this time I brought Natasha along. As predicted, Aunt Maria was very interested in her. Not for anything else but for that cinematic face. 5 exquisite features, high recognition, and limitless potential for transformation, unforgettable upon sight. Everything that followed went smoothly. Natasha successfully secured Ava's role and was about to join the film crew. As for Ava, although she went to the casting, she was eliminated in the first round. Natasha is in the 11th grade this year, 1 year younger than me. I told my mother that she was a raw gem, who would definitely stand out later, and that for now, focusing funds on her was enough. My mother was half believing, half doubting, but still gave me a sum of money for my free use. I paid Natasha's parents a sum, rescuing her from her oppressive, heavily patriarchal family, then transferred her to our school. Even though filming was imminent, studies couldn't be missed. I hired private teachers for literature, math, and foreign languages to tutor her. The day I took Natasha to the film set, I stood outside and saw Ava arguing with a staff member. I want to complain, that was my main role. Why wasn't I informed? Why won't you let me join the crew? If you don't answer clearly today, I won't leave, I'll just sit here. Ava was yelling like a lunatic, completely losing her composure. When she saw me leading Natasha, her expression changed, becoming increasingly serious, and she quickly rushed over to block our path. What is this? Why are you two here? I was too lazy to reply. Is it any of your business? Ava looked at Natasha, her eyes instantly blazing red. Natasha, why did you steal my role? Impossible, you're not famous yet. How do you know I haven't debuted yet? Are you also reborn? Natasha smirked, her tone casual. Ava's eyes widened as if she had seen a ghost. Then she yelled loudly. I was supposed to win this role myself. Stop being ridiculous. I only got this role thanks to young Master Thanos. The original author and Luffy Herta are classmates. Young Master Thanos helped me. Natasha held my hand, both intimate and showing off her cleverness. Ava was stunned. I stood beside her, looking nonchalant. What are you two talking about? Is this a newcomer's way of greeting? Ava growled, wanting to lunge at Natasha. But I pushed her away. Ava reminded me. Thanos. This is the last time. Let go of her so I can play the main role. Otherwise, don't ever expect to speak another word to me for the rest of your life. She continued, her eyes red, her voice trembling. Remember this, Natasha, I will see your ending. Natasha smiled, gently letting go of my hand. She seemed angry but didn't care. And I knew, with her talent, fame was only a matter of time. Later, the relationship between Natasha and me grew closer, while Ava gradually broke her defenses. When she saw us sticking together everywhere, she must be looking for me. The last time Ava moved out of my house, she maintained a calm attitude, because she thought she still had an ace up her sleeve. Even without my family's help, her future would still be brilliant. But man proposes, God disposes. She never expected things to develop this way. Being driven out of my house, losing the role that made her instantly famous in the previous life. So what would her future be like? What about her career? If it were anyone else, it would be fine, but she is Ava, who in the previous life was the national goddess, a top entertainment star, always living under the spotlight, surrounded by fans wherever she went. Just appearing in a shopping mall was enough to cause the crowd to cheer. Daily, countless fans tracked her every move, just to be present at the airport in time to support her. Just accepting an endorsement contract could easily earn her tens of millions. Wearing beautiful clothes, living in a spacious house, having a chauffeur-driven car ready. She was truly magnificent and captivating. Someone who has experienced such glamour. How could she accept being an ordinary person? Even a poor, anonymous nobody? Thanos, I have something to tell you. That day, after school, Ava approached, her face devoid of expression. I spoke briefly. She took a deep breath as if mentally preparing herself, then looked at me with an arrogant gaze. Can I consider you as a big brother? Hearing that, I felt like my temple was being struck by a hammer with every beat. No matter how much you like me, I won't break up with Thiago. But consider this my way of compensating for your regret. But I have one condition. Ava continued. You know the author Maria Garcia. The big film is starting to shoot in a few months. I want to play the female lead. I was so angry my heart trembled. I just wanted to pull her brain out. It was unbelievable that she dared to say such shameless, callous words. If it weren't for the need to keep my rebirth a secret, I would have slapped her across the face. Ava, where did you get such a thick skin? In the previous life, you burned me alive. In this life, you still plan to use me to become famous? Are you a devil? I spoke coldly. Even a devil, upon meeting her, would have to step aside. Such malice is rarely seen. She offered to consider me as a big brother to compensate for my regret. My regret had only one possible remedy. That she and Thiago immediately disappear from my life. I coldly cut her off. You confidently think I would like you? Ha ha ha. Looking into her eyes, I only felt like I was looking at a pile of filth. Ava's eyes widened. She absolutely refused to believe it. Thanos, in the previous life, you were my sycophant for so long. How can you say you don't like me and mean it? You're just deceiving yourself. Considering you as a big brother is my biggest concession. When I return to your house, we will still see each other daily. I will treat Luffy Herta and Uncle Beckham as parents. Thiago will also be filial to them with me. Trust me, this is best for you. She even wanted to return to my house with Thiago. I felt like vomiting just listening. I uttered only one word. Get out. Ava narrowed her eyes, her voice sharp. What? She seemed surprised by my rejection, her expression falling. I looked at her coldly. There's no need to wait until after the exam to plot revenge for the previous life. If she wants to self-destruct, I will lend her a hand. In just 1 week, the housekeeper Ariana found Miami's whereabouts. In the previous life, I had many dealings with this old gambler. When his daughter became famous, he became a ticking time bomb. I had to constantly resolve his debts, pay off several million in gambling debts, and deal with all sorts of women who knew his identity and tried to blackmail him. Looking back, I was so foolish in the previous life. Never living for myself. Time and money were poured into those scumbags, only to receive a tragic death in the end. That evening, the housekeeper Ariana reported that someone was looking for me. A thin, scruffy middle-aged man stood by the flower bed, smoking a cigarette. It was indeed the old gambler. He scrutinized me from head to toe, then said, "You're Chairman Beckham's son, right? I heard you sponsored Ava, helped her transfer schools, and now she's even staying at your house. I have nothing to do. Just wanted to see how my daughter is living." So it's Uncle Miami. Ava was indeed at my house before, but she has since moved out. He looked displeased. If you sponsored her, let the girl stay at your house. Why did you let her move out? Ava is a girl, if anything happens to her out there. She only moved back to the dormitory, and it was voluntary because of her boyfriend. I shook my head. Miami frowned. Boyfriend? What boyfriend? I didn't know. I cheerfully led the way. Called the driver Messi to drive me in Miami to Ava and Thiago's secret sanctuary, the place where they used to date in the previous life, located in an abandoned building in the city center. A dilapidated, stinking tent. Half an hour later, we reached our destination. Before going upstairs, I picked up a piece of wood the size of a wrist, over a meter long, from the ground. Miami looked at me strangely. I smiled and explained. To use as a walking stick. This abandoned building doesn't have railings, so it prevents dangerous falls. I've been here many times. I know the way. I led Miami to the rooftop very skillfully. Inside the newly pitched tent, the loud, embarrassing sounds of intimacy were audible, making one blush. I smiled faintly, catching the perfect moment. Miami's expression was grim, a cold, dark cloud in his eyes weighing down on him. I felt slightly awkward, placing the piece of wood down. Unsure how to proceed, Miami picked up the wood I had just dropped, walked straight toward the tent, and yelled, "Ava!" The sound inside the tent instantly stopped. Miami forcefully pulled the tent zipper open. A scene of utter shame unfolded before our eyes. Ava recognized the person who had arrived, her face turning pale. She quickly pulled the sheet over herself, and nervously called out, "Dad, why are you here?" Thiago heard the call and hurriedly looked for his clothes. But before he could put them on, a stick landed on his head, stunning him. Thiago cried out in pain, seeing the stick about to strike again. He didn't have time to think. And in a near-naked state, he lunged out of the tent. The scene was painfully familiar. Why'd I always get stuck in such juicy moments? Miami turned around, his face as cold as ice. He was originally a gambler, a delinquent, involved in shady business. He yelled, "Do you know who I am? Dare to touch my daughter? If I don't beat you to death today, I'm less than a dog." Although Thiago was also a school overlord, he was like a small chick in front of Miami. Furthermore, he was practically naked, trembling like a sieve, but still trying to act calm. "It's not my fault, she was willing." That answer made Miami even angrier. A blow from the stick landed squarely on Thiago's hip. He cried out in pain, trying to flee, wanting to grab his clothes. But Miami lunged in like a demon, beating him continuously with the stick. Thiago cried out and staggered as he ran away. Ava screamed and cried, quickly putting on a jacket, sobbing and begging, "Stop hitting him. Dad, stop hitting him." No one paid attention. Thiago was repeatedly hit on both his head and back, running awkwardly, perhaps realizing his opponent was too dangerous. Thiago panicked and made a very foolish decision. He directed his anger at Ava, cursing, "Ava, aren't you going to stop this man? Do you want to kill me? Damn it." Miami was furious, his eyes red-rimmed, holding the stick as if to beat a dog. This bastard is looking for death. Then he thrashed Thiago furiously, like wielding a knife at a wild animal. Hitting without regard for head or back, wherever it landed. It struck. A shrill scream echoed. Thiago was beaten until he staggered, groaning in pain. At that point, Thiago seemed to go mad. Rushing straight at Miami wanting revenge, the two nearly died together. Miami quickly stepped aside. Thiago lunged too hard and fell off the high edge, plunging down from above. The sound of a body hitting the ground echoed. The height of the fall wasn't too high, but it was dangerous enough to cause serious injuries. The third floor, Ava covered her face, her eyes wide with horror, speechless. Thiago didn't die but suffered high-level paralysis, from the neck down. He couldn't move. The doctor delicately put it, he might be like this for the rest of his life. Hope for recovery exists, but it is so small it is virtually non-existent. Thiago's mother fainted from crying, pulling Ava's hair in the hospital corridor. Tearing at her like an eagle catching a chick. Tearing her hair, tearing her clothes, her face smeared with blood from fingernails. Ava tried to struggle free, but Thiago's mother wouldn't let go. Her eyes fixed on her 24/7, giving her no chance. Ava's hair was messy, her clothes wrinkled, her face full of nail marks. She wanted to run but didn't dare, forced to stay. To be honest, I was quite disappointed in Thiago, despite being a school overlord. He was too weak. I originally only intended for Miami to give him a good beating. Never expecting things to go so far. Who knew that, man proposes, but God disposes? Looking at Thiago lying motionless like a mummy on the hospital bed, I wondered, who is suffering more, him or my past self? Being burned alive is painful but quickly over, lasting half an hour. Whereas high-level paralysis is not painful but a life of torment. Lasting maybe a few months, a few years, or even decades. I felt that I was merciful. I hope he lives. At least lives to be 90 years old. Because he is young, right? The hospital corridor was chaotic again. The continuous days of mental torture caused Ava's spirit to collapse. His family continuously yelled, "Don't talk about me. If there's a crime, find Miami and sue him. The person who caused him to be like this is Miami." Thiago's mother cried out heartbreakingly. "Wasn't it you? If you hadn't seduced my son, he wouldn't have followed you to the rooftop. He wouldn't have fallen." She cursed as if she wanted to tear her apart, saying Ava would have to live with her son, become his wife, serve him for the rest of her life. And even in death, she would belong to him. These words were like a curse yelled into Ava's face. Ava turned pale, trembling all over, holding her head and crying, "No, no," as if she was about to break apart. Ava shook her head back and forth like a rattledrum. "I don't want to get married. I want to go to school. I want to go to school." Pitui, Thiago's mother spat a glob of saliva directly at Ava's face, grinding her teeth. "My son is like this, and you're still dreaming of going to school? Dream on." Ava frantically shook her head. "I'm not even of legal age. You have no right to force me. Make my son stand up, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, you stay in my hands." Thiago's mother's eyes were bloodshot. A thunderous slap landed. Without another word, Ava fell to the ground, her mind blank. All hope vanished. I stood watching with a bit of emotion. In the previous life, not long after Ava and Thiago publicly married on social media, a reality show invited the two of them and Thiago's mother to participate, portraying the standard mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship. At that time, their relationship was still loving and close. Thiago's mother treasured Ava like a gem, making the national daughter-in-law the envy of many girls on the show. Who would have thought it would end up like this today? After a week of being held captive in the hospital, Ava's mind gradually cleared. She reported to the police, accusing Thiago's mother of violence. She informed the police that she and Thiago only had a normal romantic relationship, that she was not at all involved in the beating that day, and that everything was done by her father, Miami, who had already paid the price and was in prison. She demanded to be released immediately. The police investigation confirmed her statement was true, and they prepared to take her out of the hospital. Thiago's mother frantically pulled Ava, not letting her go, but the police wouldn't let her cause a scene. The family had no choice but to compromise. demanding Ava's family pay $2 million in compensation. But Ava was only a student who had to ask for aid for tuition. And Miami was a debt-dodging gambler. $200 was hard for them to come up with, let alone $2 million. Even if you wanted to kill them, they couldn't produce that amount. Chiago's mother screamed. What does my son count for? Bad luck? Haha, she was right about that. Finally, Ava was safely escorted out of the hospital by the police. And the other family completely failed. But the matter did not end there. The next day, Ava had barely sat down in her classroom seat for 3 minutes when the disciplinary teacher urgently called her to the office. It turned out the other family had come to the school to cause trouble. Chiago's mother was wailing and rolling on the floor in the principal's office. After such a thunderous display, the school immediately expelled Ava. Ava was quick to react. The day she was expelled, she appeared at the gate of my residential complex. I heard she rushed straight in front of Uncle Messie's car, forcing him to take her to see me. I had just finished a math exam and was about to rest. So I agreed. 10 minutes later, Ava was brought in. She looked terrible, her eyes empty, her eye sockets deeply sunken. Her face, which was originally delicate, was now gaunt. As soon as she saw me, her eyes lit up. She ran over in 2 large strides, tightly clutching my sleeve, her voice almost pleading. Thanos, I agree to be your girlfriend. Just say a good word to Luffy Herta to let me transfer schools. Can you? I smiled faintly. Do you think this is a place of prayer? Why should I help you? She was bewildered, but didn't give up. Then, give me 500,000, 1 million, or 2 million. I'll agree to anything. Didn't you like me very much? I thought, growing up means no longer being soft-hearted. Next time I encounter a situation like this, I should just ruthlessly kick her out. Ava, I'm saying this one more time. I have no interest in you whatsoever. Even if you stripped naked and stood in front of me, I wouldn't touch you. She froze, her expression confused. How can that be? You love me so much. Doing all sorts of things for me, introducing me to the entertainment industry, staying by my side for 10 years, abandoning the corporation, paying off my father's debts. Why suddenly don't you love me anymore? Thanos, wake up. I am Ava, the person you love most. I burst into a cold laugh. Then why did you burn me to death? Ava's face turned ashen as if she had seen a ghost in broad daylight. She shrieked, then stepped back, staggering and falling to the ground, trembling as she looked at me. Are you a human or a ghost? I was cold. You tell me? After a moment, she stammered out. Thanos, are you reborn too? It was truly unbelievable that Ava was only realizing the situation now, thinking that my previous life was ended by this kind of person. My feelings were too complex to describe. Suddenly, Ava knelt down in front of me, clutching my leg, both remorseful and pleading. Thanos, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to burn you to death. It was Chiago. It was Chiago's idea, don't blame me. I looked at her, smirking. Oh really? So you remember the previous life now, don't you? Thanos. You loved me so much, liked me so much. Why don't we try to start over? In this life, I will never let go of you. We'll be together, no one can separate us. I really didn't expect to still underestimate Ava's shameless audacity. Is she truly a human being with such a thick skin? You want to start over? She nodded repeatedly like she was pounding rice. I coldly replied. Sure, then go back and burn yourself to death. If you are reborn in the next life, I'll agree to start over. She immediately let go, her face ashen. No, I don't want to be burned to death. I don't need anything else, I just want to start over with you. How can it be that easy? You won't agree? Then I have no other choice. Ava looked at me desperately, tears streaming down. How can you do this to me? I gave a cold laugh. For you, this is nothing difficult. She was resentful. I don't want to be expelled. I don't want to go back to my hometown. Why do you have to do this to me? How dare an evildoer file a complaint first? What did I ever do wrong to you in the previous life? Wasted 10 years, then was burned to death by you. I spoke nonchalantly. All of this, you deserve it. She fell silent, her eyes gradually becoming cold. Who do you think you are, Thanos? You were just a dog in my previous life. What is there to be arrogant about? Do you think I can't become famous without you? I still will. I burned you in the previous life. And aren't you still alive now? Why can't you just let go of the past? I thought to myself, maybe I should have done one more exam earlier. Ava's state was now abnormal. She must have been shocked too much in this life. Everything was the opposite of the previous life. I didn't care about her breakdown. Stepped out to the living room and asked the housekeeper to see her out. She shamelessly pleaded again like a lunatic. Thanos, I didn't mean it. Please help me. I want to join the film crew. I want to be a star. I will become a superstar. A year later, the drama exploded in popularity for 2.5 years. A few main roles became A-list stars thanks to this work. Even a supporting actress like Natasha stood out thanks to her natural acting. Gaining 10 million fans, and was directly admitted to the Film Academy. Their future was clearly going to be splendid, brilliantly bright. In the previous life, all this glory belonged to Ava. Although her acting skills were not as good as Natasha's. Thanks to the strong cast and the lovable character, she also stood out, gaining 5 million fans, and was specially admitted to the Academy. As for Ava in this life, she can only continue to dream of the glory of the previous life. On a free afternoon, I visited the nursing home. Thiago had changed a lot. In just 1 year, he was no longer a teenager. His clothes were sloppy, his beard was scruffy, and his eyes were crusted with sleep. Not washed for several days, emitting an extremely awful stench. He sat motionless like a living corpse, even if he wanted to. He couldn't move. I could only stand for 3 seconds before I couldn't bear it. The stench from Thiago made me want to cover my throat. As expected, the stench came from Thiago. I covered my nose and stepped outside. The head nurse hurriedly ran over, looked at Thiago in the room, and showed an apologetic expression. Thanos, I'm sorry, we've been a bit busy the past few days. We haven't had time to bathe or change your students' clothes. I'll call someone immediately. I smiled faintly. It's okay, I understand. I chose this nursing home precisely because the staff is indifferent. There are few people. And the environment is filthy. Otherwise, why would I send Thiago here to enjoy a blessed life? Next week, Natasha will join the film crew for 2.5 years of shooting. She has been staying at our house recently. Because she's not in a hurry to buy a house. And living outside isn't safe. Our apartment complex is discreet and has good security. So I suggested she stay here. Hearing that Natasha was staying at my house, Yamal was overjoyed. He's a fan and had been insisting on getting her autograph a few days ago. I took the opportunity to ask Natasha if she wanted to go out for dinner. And she happily agreed. I booked a private table at a restaurant. But since it was still early and Yamal was stuck in traffic, I led Natasha up to a cafe on the floor above to wait. As soon as we sat down, I heard a familiar voice from the next table. Mrs. Anna. Is it fun clinging to a man who doesn't love you at all? It's better to let go sooner so everyone can be better off. A young woman was clearly extremely irritated. Ava, what does that have to do with you? We haven't caused you any trouble, so why are you interfering? Women who can't keep their husbands shouldn't blame others for stealing them. She emphasized. He has been living separately for 3 years. There's no affection left, there's nothing for you to be proud of. Ava shrugged, her voice calm. The opponent was furious. Honestly, times have really changed. Even a mistress can brazenly talk about dignity like this. The woman sitting opposite burst into a delighted laugh. Let me guess, what did he promise you? The web drama female-led? A mediocre director? It's truly worth you fighting over. Heads bloodied. Ava gave a cold laugh. So what if I'm a mistress? Only the unloved are called mistresses. Haven't you heard? The other woman was resentful. I don't want to argue with you. Ava, since it's our first meeting, let me give you a gift. What do you mean? Ava asked. Open it and see. Why should I listen to you? After saying that, Ava cracked a cold smile. Not afraid of the public. Not afraid of the eyes of those around her. It's just a gift for you. A moment of silence, then Ava opened the gift. I don't believe you, you crazy woman. Ava seemed to be stunned by the gift, frightened out of her wits. From the opposite table, the sound of cups and saucers clattering was heard. And the woman's hearty laugh rang out. Ava, do you know why Ricardo and I have separate rooms? Because he's sick. A person as afraid of death as I am, of course, has to keep a distance. Do you understand why I haven't divorced him even though he's sick? Because I'm waiting for him to die. You're not the first girl to bother me. I give a gift to everyone who comes before me. To remind them to try their luck. To see if they catch anything or not. Divorce will never happen. Knowing he's about to die, but still wanting a divorce and asset division. Wouldn't that just benefit you mistresses? Ava, even if I sincerely wish you weren't too unlucky. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Ava's voice was hoarse, but she still refused to listen, mumbling. Impossible, impossible. You crazy woman, you're lying to me, you're definitely lying to me. Since Miss Ava is so determined to think that, I won't advise further. The coffee is on me. Help yourself. A woman around 40, very well maintained, walked past where we were sitting and quickly disappeared out the door. Not long after, Ava stumbled out. Her face pale, her body trembling non-stop. Perhaps because she was overly agitated just now, her legs gave out, and she collapsed limply right in the aisle. Ironically, she fell right next to me. Remembering the conversation between the two of them just now, I quickly stood up and moved to the other side. I caught a glimpse of the box on the nearby table. Inside was a set of clothes. My eyebrows subtly twitched, and I no longer felt like drinking coffee. Natasha, let's go. Natasha was also stunned by the unexpected event. Hearing this, Ava slowly raised her head. And as soon as she saw us, her pupils trembled. Why are you here? Victor, are you stalking me? I was utterly annoyed, frowning tightly. Are you sick? Who's stalking you? In broad daylight, how unlucky. Ava's expression changed. Her eyes turned toward the woman who had just left. She quickly understood. We had overheard the conversation between her and the other woman. The expression on Ava's face at that moment could be said to be a mix of everything. Horror. Fury. Hatred. Regret. Are you two satisfied now? You two scumbags. You've ruined my life like this. Natasha, you stole my role, you won't have a good end. Natasha looked at her with a hint of pity. How I end up is none of your concern. If you have time to curse, I advise you to quickly go to the hospital for a checkup. Provoked by those words, Ava shrieked. What right do you have to look at me like that? That role was originally mine, you just picked it up. Natasha, you are a thief. A thief of my life. You will get your karma. I looked at Ava coldly. If you genuinely think you got that role in the previous life based on your ability, I can only scoff. She clenched her fists, grinding her teeth. So what? I played it, so it's mine. It's uniquely mine. Victor, you bastard. You dare to treat me like this. You deserve it. It was good that I burned you in the previous life. I replied calmly. I've already died once. Your cursing has no effect on me. But what truly surprised me was Ava. In the previous life, you pretended to be noble, refusing kissing or intimate scenes out of self-respect. Yet now, for a career, you sought out despicable men you used to despise. Not only did you find an old man, but you also got involved with an old man who has that disease of the century. How stupid is she? With that brain, she still wants to go to Hollywood? I advise you to give up. Go to bed early. Then I suddenly remembered another thing. You used to say, what's so great about having money? That you had already lived that life. So why are you stealing someone else's husband now? What does it feel like to be slapped? Really? My words made Ava boil with rage. Her face contorted, as if she was about to go insane. The scene turned chaotic. A few girls rushed over, surrounding the table where Natasha was sitting. Asking for photos and autographs, they yelled, autograph, photo. Ava's screams were cut short. Who do you think you are? You're lying to me. You must be lying to me. Some people squeezed in, cursing. Who is she? Turns out she's a lunatic. You're the lunatic. Your whole family is crazy. Ava growled, yelling loudly. Do you know who I am? I am Ava, Hollywood's best actress. Who is Natasha? In the previous life, I was already famous. While she was still collecting dung at the foot of some mountain. Natasha's fans reacted strongly. Shut up, she's so beautiful, who wouldn't be smitten? Are you blind? Our goddess is as beautiful as a fairy from heaven. And you're not even worth a strand of her hair. Ava went mad, screaming. Who are you calling a lowlife? Dare to say that again? The atmosphere became increasingly chaotic. Curses and insults mixed together. People turned to criticize Ava. She must have been conned. Then the crowd dispersed, shouting and yelling. I haven't seen Ava since then. I heard she got very sick and returned to her hometown. Perhaps unlucky enough to contract something. I completely removed that character from my mind, focused on college, interning at my father's company on weekends, beginning to take over the family business to allow my parents to retire early, making up for the shortcomings I owed them in the previous life. Meanwhile, Natasha was on fire. She became increasingly famous, winning all sorts of most promising actress awards. Before she was 20, she was nominated for major awards, and her fanbase skyrocketed. My mother even teased, "Why don't you go pursue her? How will you know if you don't try?" I laughed. "Mom, you don't understand. Young people these days don't date. They only focus on their careers right now. Natasha is like me, she only wants to focus on her career. Her dream is to win an Oscar. Mine is to be on the Forbes list. We both consider each other to be exaggerating. But if a person has no dreams, what is the difference between them and a dead fish on the shore? Who knows, maybe one day the dream will come true."